Hello there, Star Wars fans, and welcome to Screen Rant. I'm Greg Elliott, and the recently released autobiography by Disney CEO Bob Iger, The Ride of a Lifetime, has given us some unique and unprecedented insight into the true story behind Disney's purchase of Star Wars. Iger took over as Disney CEO in 2005 and has led the House of Mouse through a period of incredible growth and success. It began with the acquisition of Pixar in 2006, continued with the Marvel deal in 2010, Lucasfilm in 2012, and most recently the bulk of 20th Century Fox's film and TV empire in 2019. In the case of Lucasfilm, the deals had mixed results, and Iger now has admitted that they pushed the Star Wars franchise too fast. The movies have officially been put on an indefinite hold after the rise of Skywalker, and Star Wars is moving to the small screen for the foreseeable future. So, how did we get here? After the Pixar acquisition in 2006, Disney set their sights on Marvel and Lucasfilm and went for Marvel first, simply because they knew it was just going to be hard to get George Lucas to let go of Star Wars. Iger wanted to handle negotiations as respectfully as possible, so he didn't go for it until the right opportunity presented itself, which it did in May 2011 after the reopening of Star Tours at Disneyland and Disney World. Iger set up a breakfast with George and put it all out there. Quote, "You don't have any heirs who are going to run the company for you. Shouldn't you determine who protects or carries on your legacy?" Well, George agreed thanks to Steve Jobs, who had told him all about the way that Disney had handled Pixar, but he was still pretty indecisive and Iger refused to push him on it. But 7 months later, Lucas finally agreed to start discussing the sale. Well, maybe thanks to all those talks with Steve Jobs, George believed Star Wars was worth the same kind of money Disney paid for Pixar, over $7 billion. But Iger thought he was overestimating its value, considering when they bought Pixar, it had 6 movies in development and a real production infrastructure in place, whereas Lucasfilm had a bunch of great tech guys, but no real film development or production pipeline. Lucas allowed Disney to conduct a confidential audit of his company, and they offered him $4.05 billion, slightly over what they paid for Marvel, and he agreed, but the hardest part was figuring out George's creative involvement after the acquisition. The discussion went back and forth for months. Star Wars was Lucas's baby, but Disney wouldn't allow him to remain in charge, but they eventually worked it out, and Lucas picked Kathleen Kennedy, the producer behind E.T. and Jurassic Park, to take the reins of Lucasfilm from him. But then things went a little off the rails. Disney had purchased Lucas's script treatments for his sequel trilogy as a mark of respect, and had been pretty clear that they were under no obligation to use them. But Lucas thought it was kind of an unspoken promise, so he got pretty pissed when they presented their plans and weren't using his stories. Lucas also wasn't a fan of The Force Awakens when it came out, saying it didn't have, quote, enough visual or technical leaps forward. And in the book, Iger does express regret for how it all went down, admitting that they'd gotten off to an unnecessarily rocky start. Iger ultimately defends The Force Awakens, insisting that J.J. Abrams did a solid job, but what's interesting is that the chapter on Star Wars ends with The Force Awakens and doesn't mention any of the controversy surrounding Solo or The Last Jedi. And even weirder is that Iger gushes about Marvel and Kevin Feige, but his praise for Lucasfilm seems much more measured. The chapter on Marvel even mentions 2018's Black Panther and 2019's Endgame, which only serves to highlight that he doesn't mention anything about Star Wars after 2015. It's hard not to conclude that of all Disney's acquisitions, Star Wars has been the most disappointing for them. Iger has admitted that they made mistakes, but after the success of their Pixar and Marvel deals, there's no doubt that he plans to get Star Wars back on its feet as well. So thanks for watching Screen Rant, guys. I'm Greg Elliott, and I'll see you next time. Peace.